A very good evening to you. Glad to have you join us tonight on NTA News Top Table, where we give you news, reviews, and interviews with the extra touch. Tonight, high five for 5G as the Federal Executive Council approves policy on 5G network. A big tool joins the arsenal in the war against terror. This one flies higher than others. Find out. The fight against gender violence has taken a spiritual turn. Traditional rulers and spiritual leaders are leading the charge. On finance and economy, we have an eye on the push and pull of the VAT argument on a special on airports concessioning and economic zones. Youth Corps members have even better cause to serve their fatherland with a new scheme to aid them. And on health, prostate cancer, laying men prostrate, and the need for checks post-haste. Stay with us for these and more tonight. I am Fatima Omoruba, and this is News Extra. You're welcome. The Federal Executive Council has approved multi-billion naira contracts aimed at enhancing effective service delivery on the nation's power, aviation and water sectors of the economy. The Council also approved a new national policy on food and nutrition. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
Although attending the meeting of the Federal Executive Council for the first time since his redeployment to the Ministry of Power as Substantive Minister, Abubakar Aliyu had two memoranda that were considered and approved. One of them, a contract for the procurement of 40 sets of 330 kV isolators for the Transmission Company of Nigeria at about $989,000, as well as 64.2 million naira.
The second one is for the procurement of one set of 132 kV Crompton Creve circuit breaker, 16 sets of 33 kV ABB circuit breakers, and 25 sets of 33 kV Crompton Creves lightning arrestors for the Transmission Company of Nigeria. This one also is a critical maintenance equipment which we need to have as backups. Immediately we have faulty ones, we quickly replace them so that we can maintain service throughout.
362.7 million naira is to be expended on the project. And still studying the handover notes and consulting widely on the best way forward for the power sector, the minister is optimistic that the confidence reposed in him by President Muhammadu Buhari will be justified.
Mine is to provide leadership and to ensure that we deliver power to Nigeria and to have it uninterrupted. We have to have integrity in the system throughout. We have to have competence. So this is my thinking. And the most important thing is to bring everybody on board to deliver this objective.
The Federal Executive Council also approved a new national policy on food and nutrition for the country, which formed the basis for a multi-sectoral plan of action and indeed a budget line for the purpose in all MDAs and the 3 tiers of government.
Another approval is for Attorney General to proceed with the process of ratifying promotional framework for occupational safety and health convention. This is about promoting safety and healthcare in workplaces in the country.
A 1.2 billion naira contract has also been approved for emergency rehabilitation of the Nasarawa water supply scheme in Nasarawa State.
The floods had destroyed Nasarawa Township in Nasarawa State. It destroyed the waterworks. And as a result, pipe-borne water is unavailable to the communities, and in order to preserve public health. Of course, the difficulty of the state government in restoring the water supply scheme, the federal government has made this major approval, which upon completion would be handed over to the Nasarawa State government for maintenance.
And for the aviation sector, 500 million naira has been approved for consultancy services in respect of the design for construction of the second runway at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy has been giving the go-ahead to begin the immediate deployment of the fifth generation network across Nigeria. This follows the approval of a national policy on 5G networks for Nigeria's digital economy by the Federal Executive Council. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, announced this while briefing journalists after the Council's meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. Again, State House correspondent Adam Sambu has that.
The new national policy on 5G explains in greater detail the benefits derivable from the deployment of the network service in Nigeria. These include lower latency, larger capacity, and higher data rate.
In a simple language, we can say it will open many opportunities economically, academically, educationally, and even in health sector. And it will also support our security institutions, particularly in areas where they need high-quality services.
Trials on the fifth generation network started in Nigeria since 2020, but had to be put on hold by government due to conspiracy theories, as well as concerns raised by some Nigerians associating 5G with COVID-19.
International Telecommunications Union, that is ITU, which is an arm of the United Nations, and also World Health Organization, both of them confirm that there is no any adverse health effect of 5G, and it has not been proven to be any harmful to our health. Most importantly, even its frequency and radiation is even lower than that of 4G, and even lower than the televisions and microwave we have at home.
Already, the National Communications Commission, NCC, has been directed to immediately come up with regulatory instruments that will guarantee safety in the deployment and utilization of the 5G network in Nigeria. Professor Pantami used the opportunity to solicit support for the ongoing military operations in the Northwest, leading to the shutdown of telecom services in some areas.
Tremendous successes have been recorded so far, so we need to support them to make sure that our country is secured, and this is going to be good for all of us. This shutdown will definitely affect our sector economically. However, as long as this effort will save the life of one innocent Nigerian, we have no regret in doing that. Because the life of one innocent Nigerian is better than any economic benefit we can attain in this country.
The minister confirmed that all the stakeholders in Nigeria's communications and digital economy sector are clearly on the same page with the Buhari presidency in the renewed onslaught against crime and criminality. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And for democratic governance to succeed in any society, there must be an efficient judiciary. We all agree the judiciary is the pillar of democracy. This is why the recurring cases of conflicting judgments by courts of coordinate jurisdiction is giving many Nigerians great concerns. Thankfully, this has led to the intervention of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. In this report, Austin Anyebe takes a look at the practice of forum shopping by litigants, particularly politically exposed persons.
The judiciary has been at the center of Nigeria's democratic journey since 1999, as it has continued to settle disputes between political parties and politicians at various levels of government. While it is evident that there is a productive working relationship between the judiciary and Independent National Electoral Commission, the numerous and sometimes conflicting ex parte orders from courts of coordinate jurisdiction calls for concerns. This is more so when one considers the setback on planning and enormous cost implications.
For ex parte orders to be issued from different parts of the country on the same subject matter is not only an aberration, it's an embarrassment to the cause of justice.
A judge of a federal high court or a judge of a high court of a state ordinarily should know and knows, for Christ's sake, that they are courts of cardinal jurisdiction, and if there is an order given by this Federal High Court, you should also know that my order is of no effect.
Legal practitioners refer to the practice as foreign shopping, where political parties and players choose courts or jurisdiction that have most favorable rules or laws for the position being advocated.
We must be able to tell the clients, look, I am not going to be available to go and procure this sort of order for you based on all these mischievous facts you are giving me. We must put the other party on notice. If the man goes to 2-3 lawyers and they all have the same position, he will not insist. But there are so many of our colleagues with respect who are too willing to be available to be used as ready tools to pollute the judicial system.
If you are aggrieved, go to Court of Appeal and appeal against the ruling of a high court, not by going to another federal high court or another state high court, which are of cardinal jurisdiction, to secure your own order. The Chief Justice of Nigeria seems to have summoned them to hear from them. They should be sanctioned.
The intervention by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanku Mohammed, has been commended as judges involved in the recent conflicting orders are facing the National Judicial Council to clear themselves from the judicial embarrassment. As the Chief Justice of Nigeria says, a damage to one jurisdiction is a damage to all. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
Here's a question. What can fly higher and faster than an eagle? If you say the Super Tucano, you just might be right. Now that the long-awaited aircraft has formally been inducted into the Nigerian Air Force Order of Battle. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani tells us what to expect from this flying fighting machine.
500 million US dollars. That's how much it cost the federal government to acquire 12 Super Tucano A29 turboprop aircraft in a deal which is expected to boost national security. The arrival of the A29s, which will now be stationed at the 407 Air Combat Training Group Kainji, have also brought with them development and capacity building.
Accordingly, we have continued to accord high priority to purposeful training as a major tool for human capacity development.
Under the Foreign Military Sales Program, which the A29s were acquired, 64 pilots and aircraft technicians from the Nigerian Air Force trained to U.S. standards with the 81st Fighter Squadron at Moody Air Base in Georgia, USA.
These efforts are no doubt historic milestones of the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration's unwavering resolve to equip and energize the Nigerian Air Force and indeed the entire armed forces of Nigeria.
The Foreign Military Sales Program, which follows the U.S. Department of Defense's Total Package Approach model, also includes spare parts for several years of operation, contract logistics support, munitions, and a multi-year construction project to improve the Kainji Air Base infrastructure. The aircrafts, which have already been inducted into the Nigerian Air Force Order of Battle, are expected to be a game changer in security issues in the country. The Order of Battle being Nigerian Air Force units, formations, and equipment. What makes this aircraft different from other NAF platforms? Well, for starters, it has a maximum speed of 590 kilometers per hour. It can fly to high altitudes higher than other Nigerian Air Force platforms with a range of 1,330 kilometers and a combat range of 550 kilometers. The A29 Super Tucano can perform intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and precision air-to-ground strikes, strengthening Nigerian Air Force ability to fight terrorism and banditry. Najatu Tijani, NTA News.
Amazing, I must say. 360 newly recruited operatives of the Osun State Security Network Agency, Amotekun Corps, have been inaugurated by Governor Boyega Oyetola. This is sequel to the completion of a 23-day intensive training program to professionally equip them for the tasks ahead. Joshua Ogunjide was at the passing out parade and now reports.
In the last 3 weeks, the 360 operatives of the Pioneer Osun Amotekun Corps have undergone intensive training at the Ejigbo camp prior to their official unveiling and inauguration. Governor Abuja, who inaugurated the State Amotekun Corps, maintains that such capacity building program will equip the operatives with professional skills required to facilitate the discharge of duty with integrity, diligence, and no sense of responsibility. They are expected to operate in conjunction with other security agencies, both within the state and across the region, so as to optimally guarantee the security of lives and property, while necessary equipment will be provided for effective security management.
We have recruited 750 vigilantes across all local governments in the state to provide intelligence on the activities and suspicious movement of criminals.
The Captain Fatai Ajibolu-led training team of 11 retired security experts, as well as resource persons, tutored the operatives in areas such as intelligence gathering, report writing, combating crimes in built-up areas, surveillance, endurance training, unarmed combat, weapon handling and discipline, among other drills including civil relations, ethics, VIP escort, and regular patrol. The establishment of the Amotekun Corps across states in southwest Nigeria became a necessity due to the spate of turbulence in the country. From Ejigbo, Osun State, Joshua Ogujide, NTA News.
In the meantime, 13 suspects have been paraded by the Nigerian police force for their involvement in kidnapping, gun running, and other crimes. Francis Form reports that 8 of the 13 suspects were allegedly responsible for the kidnap and murder of the father of former governor of Plateau State, Senator Joshua Darie. The report.
This assignment was given to me by Mr. Jetron Gusen.
These 8 suspects are said to be responsible for the kidnap and murder of the 93-year-old father of Joshua Darie. The 93-year-old victim was killed during his second experience in the kidnappers' den after 8 days in June 2020, even after collecting a ransom of 10 million naira from the family members, and this 57-year-old prince of the kidnappers ordered the execution.
I give the job to these children and they went and mess up. My mission was not for them to kill him after collecting ransom.
He come and tell me to shoot him, let's go, so that we should go. That was the first time I heard gun. Really, I say I will try to shoot.
These people that did this act, they're all from our village, and these are people that we know them very well.
Next is a gang of 3 who were arrested between the borders of Nasarawa and Taraba states for unlawfully procuring, distributing, and selling of weapons to kidnappers, bandits, and other criminals.
We will continue to intensify our efforts to go after the dealers and those who are profiting from some of the pockets of conflicts in this country and continue to mop up systematically these weapons.
26 AK-47 magazines, 1 AK-49 rifles, and 14 AK-47 live ammunition is said to have been recovered from the suspects. Once self-acclaimed baron have to bow before the law under the escort of the police, and the courtroom is the next destination. Francis from NTA News.
We'll head to Mina now. Sexual assault is serious and unfortunate common societal vice is assuming an alarming proportion globally, Nigeria inclusive. Latest on this ugly trend is a case of a grade 2 teacher, Usman Galadima, who allegedly defiled and infected 14 of his pupils with HIV at a central primary school in Garabundi, a community in Borgu local government area of Niger State. Fatima Aliu reports.
Karabunde is a growing community in Borogu local government area of Niger State, and it is about 30 kilometers to New Busa, the council's headquarters. Central Primary School Karabunde is the only government-owned primary school in the community. This is the school the grade 2 teacher, Usman Galadima, allegedly defiled and infected 14 pupils between the ages of 6 and 9 with HIV in July this year. His nefarious activity was exposed when 2 pupils of the school confided in their headmistress over alleged threats to their lives by the suspects following their refusal to continue to give in to his alleged immoral acts. The state government and other relevant stakeholders, including the State Universal Basic Education Board, have constituted a committee to investigate the matter.
The truth of the matter is that there is an allegation like that, and there's a teacher like that is already in police custody, and investigation is ongoing. The police have done their investigation. But as regards to the issue of HIV/AIDS, his status has not been established. We have requested the Minister of Education to conduct a HIV test, blood HIV test on the accused. And right away, I'm sure the test must have been conducted over the weekend. We'll wait for the result.
However, efforts to speak to the affected pupils and their parents proved abortive. Investigation shows that the children are present in the protective care of the State Child Rights Agency in Minna, the state capital, pending the outcome of the investigations. The committee constituted by Subeb is expected to submit its report within 2 weeks. NTA News will continue to follow up developments as it unfolds. Fatima Aliyu, NTA News.
And with strong and respected voices in the country, traditional and religious leaders can play pivotal roles in ending gender-based violence and ensuring justice for victims. This was the consensus at a two-day Northern Traditional and Religious Leaders Summit on Gender-Based Violence in Abuja. Joseph Arsteno reports that the event is organized by the Sultan Foundation for Peace and Development.
Others do it as a result of lack of awareness of what the religion has to say about such issues.
Distortion of traditional and religious beliefs to commit gender-based violence is among core issues the summit wants to tackle. His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Saad Abubakar, leads traditional and religious leaders from the northern part of the country to end the menace reported to be a major concern in the region.
Each traditional leader should set up a committee. Immediately we go back, and that committee should start working immediately, should hit the ground running. And that committee should have the opportunity to reach out to anybody.
And we need knowledgeable religious leaders to teach right from that formative stage.
Potential perpetrators alike need to be exposed to information on the danger and implication of sexual and gender-based violence.
What we want to do is to bring this discussion out into the public place so that people can really see, feel, and hear what our women and girls and children go through.
Resource persons x-ray multidimensional issues of education, poverty, culture, and religion, reinforcing gender-based violence.
I keep on saying counseling is important for victims because I see people going through depression.
Breaking the culture of silence through support system, interpersonal communication, and community reorientation are important strategies identified to ending the scourge. In Abuja, Joseph Uten, NTA News.
The dream of the First Lady, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, of providing quality education to the victims of insurgency in the Northeast is coming to reality with the building of Orphanage School in Maiduguri. In that regard, Aisha Buhari Foundation and the Victim Support Fund signed a memorandum of understanding to provide financial and technical support for the smooth operation of the school. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
Built on about 2 hectares of land within the ancient city of Maiduguri to cater for the children of the internally displaced persons, particularly those who lost their parents as a result of the activities of the insurgents, the future assured college consists of 24 number of classrooms, laboratories, multipurpose hall, ICT center, administrative blocks, staff quarters, and other facilities for conducive learning. Achieving this is what formed the basis of the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Aisha Buhari Foundation and the Victim Support Fund. This is a clear demonstration of the First Lady's commitment to providing quality education to orphans and other less privileged persons who suffered the devastation of insurgency in the Northeast, particularly in Borno State. The legal secretary of the Aisha Buhari Foundation, Halima Buhari Sharif, signed the MOU on behalf of the Aisha Buhari Foundation, while Professor Nana Tanko signed on behalf of the Victim Support Fund.
We want to thank the people of Borno State and the Borno State government for giving us the necessary support for this laudable project. We also implore the Borno State government to work hand in hand with the committee set up by Her Excellency, a board of trustees with people of proven character, while thanking the chairman of the Victim Support Fund, General T.Y. Danjuma, and the executive management represented by Professor Nana Tanko. We call on all other well-meaning Nigerians to lend their support in these kinds of projects and to appeal on those with unredeemed pledges with Victim Support Fund to please fulfill their promises.
As the Victim Support Fund, to be here to support this initiative, especially seeing that the First Lady has done so much already, because the quality of the buildings and the buildings on ground shows that she's committed so much resources. And that is why we are willing to bring our own and see how we can support the takeoff of the school in October.
This edifice is one milestone that will remain everlasting in the lives of the government and people of Borno State.
With the completion of the college, the school is expected to be commissioned soon, consisting of both primary and secondary school sections. While appreciating all critical stakeholders for achieving this target, the First Lady reaffirmed her commitment to continue to support women, youth and children through various intervention programs, especially in the health, education, women and youth empowerment. In Maiduguri, Borno State capital, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of new chief executives for some agencies in the Ministry of Education. In a statement released, Professor Akpama Simon Ibo has been appointed Executive Secretary, National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adults and Non-Formal Education. Professor Chinwe Veronica Anunobi, Director CEO, National Library, while Professor Musa Gerba Maitafsir is Director CEO, National Teachers Institute. The three appointments are with effect from 2nd of September 2021 and for an initial tenure of 5 years. The President also approved the reappointment of Professor Josiah Olusegun Ajiboye as the Registrar, CEO, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, TRCN, for his second and final tenure of 5 years, effective from 1st of August 2021. Similarly, Professor Bashir Usman has been reappointed as the Executive Secretary, National Commission for Nomadic Education, also for a second and final tenure of 5 years. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Fatima Waziri Aziz as Director General of the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP. This is sequel to a recommendation of the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, who expressed the urgent need for the ministry to intensify on the existing capacity in the NAPTIP in order to achieve its key results areas as identified. Let's take our first break on the bulletin. When we return, an industrial park is opening new possibilities in Gombe. Plus, the price of rice may soon fall. Will let the cat, or shall we say the rice, out? Welcome back. Insurance practitioners advise to leverage opportunities in the African single market as investors lose 24.37 billion naira in the stock market. Musa Abubakar brings us up to speed with details on business news. Musa, take it away.
Thank you, Fatima. Amidst monumental challenges posed by climate change, particularly energy transition and related issues, the coming decade anchored on the African Continental Free Trade Area offers great opportunities for Africa's socio-economic transformation. Vice President Emir Shibajo stated this in a message delivered at the closing of the 2021 Conference of African Insurance Practitioners Team Rebuilding Africa's Economy and Insurance Perspective, urging African insurance practitioners to leverage opportunities in the African free trade zones. The Vice President said every smart economic grouping, whether government or business, must be thinking, planning and strategizing for the new normal. Now, the capital market posed negative result at the end of Wednesday's trading session. The all-share index fell 0.12% to close 39,204.52 basis points in market capitalization at 20.4 trillion naira, 354.06 million shares, value at 3.2 billion naira. Exchange hands in 4,095 deals. The financial services sector dominated their activity chart with FBN Holdings, Access Bank, and Universal Insurance PLC. And that's business news. It's back to you, Fatima.
Many thanks, Musa. Good governance is all about leaders making the right investments with positive impact on the lives of the people. Emmanuel Akila in this report takes a look at the economic viability of the investment of over 16 billion naira by the Inouye Higher Administration in the establishment of an industrial park named after President Muhammadu Buhari.
This is the site for the establishment of the Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park, about 30 kilometers away from Gombe, the state capital, and just 2 kilometers away from the completed Dadinkowa hydroelectricity power station, which means it has access road, nearness to sources of water and power supply. And to the host community, this is an opportunity they have been waiting for.
By the time you come up with companies, the first advantage or the first gain of the community is employment.
We have children in school. We hope that the industrial park provides opportunities for them. Most of us are commercial motorcycle riders. We hope that the industrial park will provide employment for us.
The prayers of the host communities, just like all the people of Gombe State, have been answered by the 17th Gombe State Executive Council meeting.
Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park, which is a 16 billion naira contract that was just approved in 5 lots, will be undertaken through the Gombe Revenue Optimization Company Limited, GROCOL. And already part of these funds have already been acquired. We have them in the kitty.
Governor Inouye Haya has presented a plan for the execution of the multi-billion naira Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park project to the president in Abuja.
2/3 of the people of Gombe State are youth below the age of 25. And the future will be very bleak for us if we don't provide job and support for them so that they can catch up and live well like every other people elsewhere.
The project is a consolidation on the gains of the achievement of Gombe State as the #1 in the ease of doing business in Nigeria in the latest report of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. The thriving Gombe Industrial Cluster is a litmus test of the favorable condition enjoyed by MSMEs in Gombe. Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
Let's talk rice. Yes, rice. You know, it has become a major subject of discourse in the family, at the market, even at work sometimes. The discussion is mainly about the price of the produce that has remained unstable. Now, scientists have discovered a new rice variety that is approved and accepted. The beauty of it is that the cost of production will drop drastically. Musa Babaliu has that.
Rice consumption is on the increase in Nigeria, just as area under cultivation is on the increase. However, the production per hectare remains low, while the cost of production is higher. 3 factors were discovered to be responsible for the decline in yield per hectare, as well as the cost of production.
Our soil is inherently infertile, with very poor nitrogen in the soil. And this gets across all the regions in the country.
Here at the Nigeria Cereal Research Institute Badegi, researchers are developing a new variety of seeds that is drought tolerant.
To address the trial problems of water shortage, that is drought, and salt injury, to rice, as well as low fertility issues.
The researchers picked variety most farmers liked, which is Narika 4, to improve on, in a manner that plants will do well in an upland with low nitrogen.
all the abandoned land or the marginal land can also be put to use. And that in a way reduce horrible land shortages in the country.
The research that started since 2015 has gone through a series of field trials.
So the work is ongoing. We are presently in the efficacy trial. From here, we'll be moving to where we test them for wide adaptation before it is released to farmers for its use.
Though farmers may not have access to the seed in a short period, however, when it is available, the money spent on fertilizer and other chemicals will drop by at least 50%, meaning more money for farmers and more food for the country. From Badigi in Niger State, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And despite the economic shakeups by the advent of coronavirus worldwide, the banking public in Nigeria needs not worry, as the nation's banking system is said to still be safe and sound based on key financial indicators. The assurance was given at the seminar organized by the Bureau of Public Service Reform in Abuja. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday reports.
One of the worst hit by the devastating effect of COVID-19 globally is the financial sector, and many economies had to completely shut down due to the mode of transmission of the disease. Many nations were affected financially and were forced to devise special strategies for their citizens. This lunchtime engagement with the leadership of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation is to further x-ray the various initiatives implemented over time by the corporation to curtail economic disruptions that typically follow bank failures.
The NDIC guarantees the payment of deposits up to the maximum limit in accordance with the provision of the law on each of the licensed deposit-taking financial institutions. The NDIC also collaborates with the CBN to supervise banks so as to protect depositors, foster monetary stability, promote an effective and efficient payment system, and promote competition and innovation in the banking system.
Patronage for wonder banks, low level of financial literacy, and swift resolution of litigation are some of the areas of interest to Nigerians.
We have seen an institution of government that is compact, that is doing very well, and we want other institutions of government to be like them. Secondly, we want them to understand the importance of collaboration and working together. Once we do that, we provide cheaper and seamless service to citizens of the country.
Organizers say, despite the fact that deposit insurance system remains an added comfort to depositors, the corporation has been structured to continue to ensure financial market discipline in Nigeria. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
One of the challenges of Nigeria's electricity supply industry over the years has been the billing system of electricity consumed by customers. To end what is known as estimated billing, the federal government launched a national mass metering program in 2020 targeting 6 million customers. As the second phase of the program is set to roll out additional 4 million meters, Joshua Ojito takes a look at the implementation of the program.
Electricity, an essential commodity in every household and business. But how this commodity is built after consumption remains a contentious issue between distribution companies and the end users. Estimated billing was, however, adopted, yet the challenge of revenue collection and distrust between distribution companies and customers persists, as the template, many say, does not guarantee accountability.
At times it comes 12,000, at times it comes 8,000, are not specific.
Other initiatives were introduced, like the meter asset provider, MAP, but key players describe the initiative as unsuccessful, as records show that only 350,000 meters were installed in 18 months under the MAP program. Now, federal government in 2020 launched a new initiative tagged National Mass Metering Program to roll out 6 million meters to customers free.
Prepaid meters are good. It is a welcome development because that way estimated billing is eradicated.
So far, record shows that 750,000 meters have been delivered to distribution companies in the last 8 months since the launch of the program.
It's not true that meters are not available. It's for customers to apply.
Central Bank of Nigeria is funding the program through soft loan to distribution companies with expected gains in boosting local meter assembly, manufacturing and installation.
In the couple of times to come, definitely we're going to have more meters injected into the system that are credible, tested and certified by NEMSA.
There are expectations among industry players and electricity customers that the gains of the National Mass Metering Program will ensure appropriate billing of electricity consumed, thereby ending estimated billing. In Abuja, Joshua Ojitu, NTA News.
In realization of the mandate to lift 1 million Nigerians out of poverty, the Naval Officers' Wives Association, NOAA, has solicited the support of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in catering the needs of women and girls to meet the mandate and become economic actors. This was during an interaction between the President of NOAA and Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, at her office. Elizabeth Omori reports.
The various initiatives of the federal government to reduce poverty are expected to stimulate growth in critical sectors of the economy. With many opportunities still not fully accessed, members of the Naval Officers' Wives Association paid a courtesy visit to the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to map out strategies to extend access to key interventions.
We want the ministry to help us in achieving our pet projects, which is building a 200-bed hospital.
The minister highlighted various interventions of government, especially the conditional cash transfer. She urged members of the association as well as other women to take advantage of the initiatives.
I would like to also commend you for your pet project, the clean water. It's also similar to what the program that we have for the IDPs in the camps, the WASH program, which is water, sanitation, and hygiene. And I'm sure we can work together in this regard.
Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk disclosed that so far, 376 NOAA members have benefited from the Rural Women Cash Grant. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
In another news, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has described President of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, Bishop Francis Wale Oke, as a bridge builder, an exemplary leader, and genuine spirituality. In a letter to the bishop, who turned 65 this Wednesday, the Vice President Osinbajo and his wife, Dolapo, joined in celebrating the bishop, commending Bishop Oke for his commitment to the cause of humanity. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo stated that the establishment of the precious Cornerstone University at great personal financial cost demonstrates selfless and sacrificial commitment to Nigeria's development and the belief that the next generation should be built on solid spiritual and educational foundations. Let's take a breather now. In the next segment, PDP governors meet over party crisis, plus VA. Thanks for staying. Governors of the People's Democratic Party have converged on Abuja to strategize on salvaging the party amidst the leadership crisis ahead of tomorrow's National Executive Committee meeting. Correspondent Timothy Yusuf reports that the governors are deliberating on a wide range of issues, particularly on zoning of the National Working Committee offices across the 6 geopolitical zones ahead of an active National Convention. The National Convention is aimed at easing out from office the embattled national chairman of the party, Prince Uche Secondus, who has been having frictions with some leaders of the party. The governors, under the auspices of the PDP Governors Forum, want new officials to take over the affairs of the party as quickly as possible to resolve the issue. Meanwhile, the meeting is still in progress at the moment. The Federal Inland Revenue Service has continued to evolve ways of widening the nation's revenue base. This drive is recording success with the deployment of technology management of the service. Disclosed this in Abuja while interacting with the media. Benny Adams reports that the FIRS also insists it is empowered by law to collect value-added tax on behalf of the federal, states, and local governments.
With eyes on the target of raising a projected 10.1 trillion naira revenue in 2022, the Federal Inland Revenue Service has continued to evolve various means of expanding its tax net. The most recent is the deployment of technology through the Tax Pro Max solution.
We've been able to achieve an end-to-end processing on the life cycle of that taxpayer from the time the taxpayer registers and up on the time they pay their tax liability.
On collection of value-added tax, the FIRS, citing VAT Decree No. 102 of 1993, which later became an act of the National Assembly, the service is empowered by law to collect tax on behalf of the Federation.
In actual effect, 85% of VAT collected goes to states and local governments, while only 15% goes to the federal government.
The FIRS says VAT collected at the port of entry at the seaports from goods and services, as well as VAT paid from contracts for supplies and construction, among others, are shared to the three tiers of government, with 35% going to local governments, 50% to the states, and 15% to the federal government. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
The Nigeria Customs Service, Apapa Area Command, in collaboration with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, and the Department of State Services, DSS, have uncovered a huge consignment of illicit drug, Captagon pills, weighing 74.119 kg at the Apapa Seaport in Lagos State. Abdulmalik Hassan reports.
Nigeria's fight against illicit drug trafficking seems to be gaining momentum as the dragnet of joint security operations has just discovered a disturbing competence that may not be far from the nation's unending battle to put the issue of illicit drug use to rest. It is a 74.119 kilogram of Captagon discovered in a dismantled machine at the Apapa Seaport in Lagos.
18 pouches, which translates to 451,807 tablets of pills. This exhibit is handed over to NTA, who are now going to do thorough investigation, analysis, as well as the street value of this seizure.
These experts believe that the long-time use of the illicit drug could lead to extreme depression, lethargy, insomnia, occasional palpitation, heart and blood vessel toxicity, and malnutrition, among others. Abdulmalik Hassan, NTA News.
Thank you, Abdulmalik. What do you know about airport concessioning? Do you see the planned concession of the 4 major international airports as a catalyst for development? What about the idea of making Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt airports special economic zones? Should government interfere in the running of airport business? Let's take off with aviation correspondent Emmanuel Ayemiro, who has been seeking answers to these questions.
A lot of misinterpretation has greeted the planned concessioning of Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt international airports, a development that many question the benefits. For instance, some are concerned that after spending so much on infrastructural provisions, investment in security and other safety measures, the airports are now going to be concessioned. Why the investment in the first place?
Concessioning of our airport is very necessary now. That is the global practice. Government has very little or no business in airport management. The total money they are making now, which I have just seen, is about 50% of the money you can make from Lagos Airport. What I told you is 1/4 of what Lagos is what they are reporting for 22 airports. So let government concession the airport. But you must know what you are giving out.
Both concessioning and designation of airports as economic zones are said to be profit-driven for optimum performance. But how will bureaucratic bottlenecks associated with the existing economic policies be avoided?
We must have a sustainable development and make sure that it is not just mentioned special economic zones and we go to sleep. It must be governed. It must have a very good structure of monitoring the performance of these airports and ensure that the investment, the initial investment, is being recouped.
That's a good one, and you expect there will be an increase in job creation, more revenue for the agencies of government. You expect improved and increased economic activities within and around the airport. We also expect that bottlenecks that are associated with customs are literally cut off by the utilization of these economic zones.
There is also the plan to establish an aviation university in Abuja, in addition to the aviation college in Zaria.
Many persons want to be aviators, but the chances of becoming an aviator is very slim, especially if you are coming from a humble family. Some of us stumble into becoming aviation professionals.
Timely thing for the federal government to establish this university in Abuja to make sure that we key into this global race.
Now that it is established that concession is the best choice, government has to attract private funds for the development of the airports and deploy state-of-the-art terminals, technology, and synchronized security system. Analysts say investors must be guided with appropriate public-private partnership regulations to grow and sustain the airports to meet best global standards. Emmanuel Ayemi, NTA News.
Let's head to Kebbi. One distinctive feature of Birnin Kebbi, the capital of Kebbi State in the northwestern part of Nigeria, is the presence of boulevards in the rapidly expanding city. A phenomenon environmentalists say gives the city an edge over its peers when it comes to afforestation. How did they come into being? How are they viewed by Kebbi indigents? Do they face any threat by forces of modernity? Well, Jafar Yusufillo has answers to these questions.
In environmental terms, boulevard are a wide street in a given city, usually with trees that are mostly equal in height, shape, and size in a row to give a shape that is pleasing the sight of the beholder. Boulevards are social component as well as transit function, affording diversity of activity.
Birnin Kebbi, being the capital of Kebbi State, is blessed with this natural phenomena in most part of the ancient city.
Boulevard provide a multitude of benefits, both long and short term, as well as being attractive and beautifying the area. They remove and store carbon from atmosphere, slows heavy rain, and also reduce the risk of flooding and enhance air quality and improve the urban heat effect by reflecting sunlight and provide shades.
About 40,000 fruit tree seedlings have been purchased by state government, and we have distributed them free of charge to the local populace. In addition to that, on a yearly basis, the state government used to approve funds for the production of tree seedlings. And these residents, we use them to carry out the various afforestation programs in the state.
Closely related to the boulevard in Kebbi City are shelter belts lined up in most part of the city, adding to its beauty and greening effort of environmental preservations. Like the boulevard, the shelter belt provide the people of the area with fresh air to breathe, control erosion that may likely threaten the road infrastructure.
This absorbs carbon dioxide, and then it's also good for preventing soil erosion.
The area is very quiet and well ventilated because of the tree around it.
Given the immense social benefit derivable from this phenomenon, environmentalists are of the strong view that their preservation must be given utmost attention by even the generation yet unborn. From Birnin Kebbi, Jafar Yusuf Ilo, NTA News.
Jafar, you've said it all. Beyond appreciation by stakeholders of the political sagacity and imposing personality of the Premier of defunct Northern Regional Government, Sir Ahmadu Bello Sardauna of Sokoto, is a collection of artifacts he was associated with that exemplified the story of a legendary leader who lived a simple life worthy of emulation. Suleiman Abdullahi Rugachkun, on tour of Arewa House, Kaduna, presents his findings.
The period between 1960 to 1966 marks an important milestone in the historical evolution of northern Nigeria. At the center of it is Ahmadu Bello, one of the progenitors of Sheikh Usman bin Fodio, born in Raba, Sokoto province. Late Sir Ahmadu Bello was first and last premier of defunct northern region and Sardauna of Sokoto. His imposing personality, lifestyle, and administrative acumen is worthy to reminisce and showcase. Arewa House Center for Historical Research and Documentation, which says a lot about him, is the ultimate destination. Official residence of the late premier is home to artifacts comprising regalia depicting Sardauna's iconic postulation of royalty.
That signifies how humble and simple Ahmadu Bello was.
As a prince, as a traditionalist, he's always in bariga, big gown in white.
On this table, critical decisions affecting northern region were taken by the late Premier Ahmadu Bello Sardauna of Sokoto.
The bow and arrow he inherited from grandfather Muhammad Bello is another symbolic reflection of the traditional title of Sardauna Sokoto, meaning the defender of the Sokoto Caliphate.
The essence is to bring the younger generation to look at how humble the premier was able to entirely spend his entire life.
To the Sardauna, his philosophy of putting the people first can further be attested by his abiding faith of enhancing two-way communication. Hence, a radio was always by his side for information about his region, the nation, and the world at large. His personal effects he dished out as gifts were returned for preservation to Arewa House, Kaduna. The reason why generations and students of history will not have reason to forget in a hurry the role played by the late Premier Sir Ahmadu Bello Sardauna Sokoto in nation building and simple lifestyle as a leader. In Kaduna, Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkun, NTA News.
Sure, and indeed, he lived a simple lifestyle. Now, the Nigerian Television Authority is strengthening partnership with the Association of Professional Women Engineers of Nigeria as part of measures to encourage the girl-child enrollment in engineering sciences discipline. This is coming when the national leadership of the association fraternized with the NTA ahead of its national symposium and award of scholarship for girls in science. The body is also advocating more female representation in science, technology, engineering and mathematics courses and projects in the engineering field to improve women participation in economic development.
Yeah, because there are many companies, especially multinationals, who are forward-looking, who are deliberately seeking to increase the number of women engineers in their employ. So we have come a long way.
In NTA, all the female engineers, they are living up to expectation. They are doing well, and many of them have a lot of managerial and higher position.
The participation is in line with NTA's commitment in promoting girls' education and social well-being in the society. Producing more professionals in public relations cycle will no doubt improve the output of practitioners within public and private sectors in the country. These were the views of stakeholders at a dinner and award night organized by the graduates of Masters in Public Relations Class 2020 by University Kano. Lawrence Salo Inua was there for NTA.
Established 40 years ago, Department of Mass Communications by University Kano has been producing professionals that are doing well in many public and private sectors. In the year 2011, the department commenced master's program in public relations with a view to updating the knowledge and skills of the profession for the development of the sector. The 48 graduates of Masters in Public Relations Class 2020 are nice in the series and comprise members from various walks of life.
They should be part and parcel of management because they contribute a lot in making an organization to function effectively, whether as a profit-oriented organization or as a public service organization.
I have not only learned the knowledge of journalism, I have not only learned the academic education that I was supposed to learn, I have learned I have had an improvement even in my moral conduct.
We started something, and by the grace of God, we have accomplished that day. Some might have come in, but have not graduated with us for one reason or the other. We give glory to God for that.
Awards were presented to some lecturers and graduates, including the leader House of Reps Alhassan Ado Dogua and General Manager NTA Bauchi Suleiman Ahmed, among others. Lawal Salo Inua, NTA News.
In the next part of the news, there is a healthy dose of health news. Stay with us on News Extra. Great to know you're here. We now know that truly health is wealth, and a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. Ensuring universal health coverage is therefore one of the policy thrusts of the present administration. In keeping with this, the National Youth Court Service, NYSC, has signed a memorandum of understanding with the National Health Insurance Scheme aimed at ensuring compulsory enrollment of core members in the scheme. Olainka Ojo reports that with this part, core members during their service year will receive free medical care in the approved healthcare facility.
Before now, access to free health care at little or no cost to 7 Youth Corps members has been a challenge for the NYSC. This is because when a corps member is critically ill, the NYSC Welfare Department takes responsibility for the treatment of the corps member. This, in a way, adds to the financial burden of the scheme. Felicia Omuka is a corps member serving with the National Health Insurance Scheme, yet she does not have access to a national health insurance cover. Her wish, like many other corps members, is to have access to health insurance.
At least we are sure that all that we need, all the services we need health-wise is provided, and they will not need to spend so much money for our well-being.
And the signing of this memorandum of understanding between these organizations, in line with the directive of the present administration, is that all core members must be captured by the NHIS program. For the NYSC,
it's going to cushion the health needs of our core members. And of course, you know, NYSC, we don't joke with the welfare of the core members, just as the federal government. And this is going to be an additional impetus.
NHIS, on its part, says the provision of free medical care services for the youth corps members will spur them into rendering greater service to their fatherland.
This will expand the coverage ratio of the National Health Insurance Scheme, and it will provide access, easy access.
The process leading to the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, which began last year, is to ensure a hitch-free implementation. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
You know how, as a man, you come down with others from a vehicle to take a leak while traveling, and you discover that you are always the last to finish, but being the first to start. Or you feel your urine strength is reduced. More shocking is the discovery that you are passing blood in your urine. Doctors say you need to run faster than Usain Bolt to the hospital to check if your prostate-specific antigen, PSA, is high. But wait a minute. An elevated PSA can mean enlarged prostate or an infection, but the dreaded outcome is prostate cancer. Chidimande be saying this report brings us informed opinion of experts in the field.
15 years ago, talks of prostate cancer were mere noise in the ears of 60-year-old Sylvester Amadi, to the extent that he abandoned a routine test result of prostate-specific antigen, PSA, he did. Mere noise turned into a warning sound when his colleague's husband died of prostate cancer 4 years ago.
Out of that fear, and I ran to a lab. I tested for prostate. They said the prostate level was 26.3. I've been spending, and since after treatment, I do not think all I do is to go for 3 months checkup. And that the level has been very reasonable. I've not had any problems since then.
In recent times, there have been reports of rising cases of prostate diseases and deaths. Key medical experts who handle or detect these conditions, like the urologist, oncologist, and radiotherapist, establish that every male has prostate, a gland in the reproductive organ that produces seminal fluid which transports sperm. It is when prostate is enlarged or there is abnormality in urinating that one should know there is trouble in paradise.
Urgency to get up quickly to go and pass urine. The fact that if you don't go quickly, the urine could come on its own, which is called urge incontinence. The fact that you have to wake up frequently to pass urine, which is called nocturia. But when you see blood in the urine, it's a symptom of urine, you need to see the doctor. If you have pain while passing urine, you need to see the doctor.
The treatment of prostate cancer is actually a multidisciplinary approach. In the early stages, surgery is actually the best form of management. Also give them hormonal therapy, chemotherapy.
When people have prostate cancer and they're on treatment, they will not have erection anymore, most of the time. So it's important to any woman who is married. When people have, they told me that testis is removed, it will also affect their erection.
To be exempted from all these, any male with family history of prostate cancer should make prostate screening a yearly affair from age 40.
Soya-based meal is cooked tomato because of lycopene in the tomato, so it's also help. Food that is rich in vitamin E, for instance. Vitamin E is an antioxidant, so the same thing with vitamin D. They tend to prevent against prostate cancer. Exercise is key. And we also counsel our patients to avoid or stop smoking, to reduce the alcohol intake.
Just because prostate cancer is prominent among black men, clocking 50 should be an alarm buzzer for yearly screening. This guarantees early detection and cure. So, if you don't want to prostrate to prostate, go for a check post haste. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Welcome. If you think riding a bicycle is only for the poor, or not necessary, or is not even healthy, then you need to be in Japan and study them and watch how they do it. When it comes to bicycle, it is regarded as necessary for all families. Over now to our correspondent Femi Johnson, who is just back from Japan and saw it all in Tokyo.
Tokyo is no doubt a city with a difference, and the culture of the people, experience and tradition usually influence their behavior to the delight of tourists, foreigners and visitors. With a well-connected network of roads, many Japanese cycle to work, markets, visit friends, or sometimes ride for pleasure. To them, biking is part of their life.
Well, I think the Japanese culture likes to be very healthy, and then it's a lot, in this city specifically, it's a lot easier to bike around everywhere and cheaper than to own a car.
There are, however, exceptions and rules which must be followed. Bikes are usually on the left side of the road. Cycling under the influence of alcohol and side-by-side biking are prohibited. You are not also allowed to use phone, hold an umbrella, or put on your earbuds. You can't even park illegally. Ignoring traffic lights or running at a high speed also puts you at risk of prison term or high penalty.
I look at them as people who live a simple lifestyle. Sometimes you even see a woman riding a bicycle with the daughter or any of the child.
I noticed everybody here ride bicycle. In Nigeria, we have to change our mentality. You know, bicycle is very healthy.
Some Japanese have been riding for over 4 decades. It is also a thing of joy to them, and they have taken it to another level. Tours, competitions are usually organized. When will Nigeria get to this level? That is the question I keep asking myself. From Tokyo, Femi Johnson.
Well, from what I've seen and heard, bicycle is a must-have for me. And with that, we conclude News Extra for tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. But